Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ingrid's World. I am Ingrid Paris Hicklin, your host. On this show, we welcome back Dr. Suzie Carmack. She has written a new book that you need to read. Dr. Carmack's latest book is The Genius Breaks. It's certain to change your life. And then we will meet Muriel Teague, a realtor who will tell us about 3 of the most common myths concerning real estate. She also blogs about choosing the perfect home. Our 2 guests will help you live well. So now let's meet our first guest, Dr. Suzie Carmack. Dr. Carmack, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure always, and it's always an honor to be with you, Ingrid, and I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Well, when I read your book.
I see that with the marks in there.
Okay,
Thank
because
you.
I wanted to go back and okay, let's just try that. And the thing about it is that, first of all, we're sitting too much.
We are, and it's one of these things where the way our lives have been built today that we do a lot of sitting. And one of the reasons why I called it Genius Breaks is that I want to clarify, I think everyone is a genius, right? Everyone has a unique genius in them that they have a passion, they have a purpose for, something that they love, right? And so I have found in the things that I admit I'd like to think I'm a genius at, such as writing, that I can love it so much that I get overly consumed in it, and then I need to take breaks within it. So the irony is that I'm both trying to practice a little bit of what I'll say I'm sharing, not preaching. And the idea, though, is to help people get moving, to take breaks in the midst of that genius work that they're doing, so that they can keep on being a great genius. But you're right, we're sitting too much today.
What's happening to us because we're not moving?
Well, it's interesting. It's odd, but here we are in 2017, and it was 2007 when I was working at the time as a yoga teacher, and I saw my own clients sitting more. Keep in mind, this was before iPhones. It feels like forever ago, but we're about a decade ago, really was a long time ago from a technology perspective. I saw my children sitting more and moving less. I saw myself even doing it, oddly enough, and I was a movement scientist.
Yes.
And so I started looking into this thing that we called then everything from sedentarism to sedentary death syndrome. Believe it or not, there's articles with that in it. But it didn't really catch on until we started seeing things like Fitbits and Apple Watches and all the other products that are out there, treadmill desks and standing desks. And I think people have started to take notice. And recently a TED Talk, the phrase was used that sitting is the new smoking. And the woman that gave that TED Talk, it became a very popular one because she was bringing forward to the national conversation something that I and others have been talking about for a while and trying to gain attention to, and that is that the act of sitting can create a lot of challenges for the body system. And there's several layers to it that I don't want a lot of friends telling about, but it's important public knowledge. Sitting has up to 28 different health outcomes that if we sit too much and we don't counteract that sitting with movement, can do damage to our bodies. And so, yes, and so, and we're also seeing people stand more, which is good. I see standing desks and treadmill desks, and maybe working from your kitchen counter if you're working from home, right? Sneaking standing in is good.
Working from your kitchen counter.
Yeah, so let me pause there for a second. Yeah, so not everybody has the resources to get a standing desk or a treadmill desk, right? And this is yet another reason I wrote the book. So finding sneaky ways to get standing in, like literally bring your laptop over to the kitchen counter for an hour if you can. That would automatically get you standing, right? Or take time to do movement and mindfulness breaks like I share with Genius Breaks. However we can sneak the movement in, it's good for us because we know that if we can counteract the sitting with bouts of not only standing but also movement, then we've created our own treatment plan right there in the moment. And it's important for our bodies and our minds over time to do that.
I never thought about, just taking the laptop out of my very comfortable office.
Right?
Got a real good chair.
Right, and it's counterintuitive when you're comfy and you literally think, and you sit and think, right?
Sometimes I get the little comfy.
You have your blanket and you have your dog or cat with you. Yeah,
tight.
Exactly.
So but that's really hurting us.
Well, it's just like indulging in dessert. We might think of it this way, right? We can indulge in dessert, but too much of a yummy thing is not so good for us. We can think of sitting in the same way. It's important for our for so many of our systems, especially our musculoskeletal system, our muscles and bones, to get moving.
You know, so I really like what you're saying because I feel like particularly the fact that you're here on public access, our mission is to educate, the public about various issues and particularly regarding our health. You also know you were going to show me some of the exercises that we can do.
Yes, absolutely. Well, in our confines here, when we're sitting in the chair, we can even get some movement in before we even get up and do bigger standing type movements, so like I share in the book. But let's kind of think through. Let's create a scenario like you were saying in your comfy office, right? Where we're sitting and we're doing all those things. Respect to our moms that mama told us not to do, right? Yes. We're slouching and we're not having our gorgeous postures that we should have. But in all seriousness, that's a moment for our spine that it's passively collapsed. Our upper back muscles are overstretching. Our hip muscles are getting kind of tight and weak. And again, I'm not painting a pretty picture. However, so if we can take time to literally sit up straight, as mom told us, which actually, one way to check if you're sitting straight is to take one hand behind your neck and then another hand behind the small of your back. And just notice if the curves are there. Because if you think about it, when you're slouching, you're one big C curve, pretty much. It's all kind of head to tail is all a C. But if you've got your posture in check, you have a gentle sway of your back and a gentle neck, and not too much of each one, but you're nice and tall. And then just imagine you could pull your spine apart just a little bit, like a straw that gets stretched out, and you can sit tall so you're light on your bottom as you sit.
Actually, you feel kind of better.
Yes, and the circulation starts to open up. We also can get a little bit more opening in our chest. We have our chest muscles get tight, and we also have a lot of circulation right here where the arm meets the torso. So if we can sit a little awkwardly, pulling our shoulder blades together just to counteract the slouching, and maybe close our eyes and think about what you literally want to open up your heart to today. Maybe some courage or kindness or peace. Just imagine that's coming to your heart.
Nice.
And then we can get back to center. That little 1 minute did a little bit of circulation for us. It got our mind off of what we're doing, just like we reboot our computer, rebooting our mind, and then we can get back to it. And genius breaks can be that tiny, or they can get a little bigger, but it's just important that we pull away from that genius that we have so we can get back to it that much better.
Wow, okay, so that's very important. Because, you're consciously, trying to make some changes. I like the fact that, you're using it in the kitchen or we're in the office. It's almost like wherever you are, you're making this happen.
Right.
So you started on this, you started as a yoga instructor.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, let's trace that step.
Yes,
so how do we get...
It's a windy journey. I called myself a yoga teacher, but I really was a movement teacher, and I was doing a lot of things. And anybody out there that freelances, anyone who's been a performing artist knows what it's like to do that work. You get very adaptable, and you're kind of taking it project by project, and you're blessed to get to do fun things, really. I described myself to someone recently. They said, well, who are you? And I said, well, I'm a human that gets to do cool creative stuff. And, in any case, but back to the kind of origin of all of this. I was a mover, I was a choreographer and a yoga teacher. And again, I was just noticing as a mom at the time as well that my own children were moving less than my own history, that I was sitting more as I was getting excited about this cool technology. At the same time, I was moving less and needing to, sitting more and moving less. And so I realized that I needed to find solutions, and I started to talk to my clients, and they told me that they were sitting more, and they were starting to have more back problem complaints even in our sessions.
Wow.
So I started to think it through and think, well, if I could give them some ideas for what they could do at their office or wherever it is they're working, then that would give them some back pain relief between our sessions. And so little by little, I got creative and started doing choreography essentially with the desk chair. Nothing fancy like in a show, but just trying to be creative. If we don't have gym equipment or Pilates equipment like I was using at the time, how can we substitute our desk, our kitchen counter, whatever it happens to be? And then over the years, training other yoga teachers, I talked to them as I was on my travels conducting teacher trainings. And they were all telling me that their clients were having the same problem. So little by little, I kept going and doing talks, and the next thing I knew, the Washington Post was covering my work.
I remember that article.
And
it's phenomenal.
And you know, I wish, this is going to sound funny, I wish this was not a problem in the first place. I wish that I was not that yoga teacher that does yoga in the office. But I will continue to advocate for people to move however long I need to until we all are finding these creative ways to keep moving. It's important.
It really is, and I love what you say here. Genius break, optimize your workday performance and well-being. How about that?
I can share. Thank you. I can share with the cool thing that's now coming out. The research is kind of catching up to us, right? Stanford did some recent research that showed that movement, such as walking meetings, can boost our creativity over 20%. So we kind of think, well, I've got to push hard and then I'll take a break. Taking a break throughout helps us come back to being better problem solvers, more engaged, whether it's in our classrooms or in our offices.
So I'll give you the example of myself. I get up early, and I like to go to the gym first before I start writing.
That's great.
When I come back from the gym, I'm like writing all these things. I'm like, oh, I need to do this. And it's almost like the creative just flows. So this really does happen to lots of people.
Yes, movement's great for our brains. Exercise, formal exercise, absolutely. And I think the habit that you have, you know, there's actually different research on when the best time is to exercise. You know, it really boils down to whatever it works for you and your schedule, then that's it. But I will say, yes, exercise helps us to be able to be more focused. It helps get us past that brain fog. I will say that, you know, keep exercising, you know, to your viewers, keep doing that. However, think of it almost like an apple and an orange. Exercise takes care of what we'll call an apple set of issues. It takes care of our cardiovascular system and many other gains that we don't have time to go into. But then the sitting problem is a different problem. So it's a different set of problems. So unfortunately, we found that the regular exercise doesn't always offset the sitting too much. So we've got to do many bouts of movement in addition to, or on busy days instead of, exercise.
Okay.
Keep exercising when you can, but keep that movement going.
Well, Dr. Carmack, always a pleasure having you. So I want our viewers to stay right there. We have a great video, a short one from Dr. Carmack. So stay right there. And then next we'll be speaking with Muriel Teague. Well, welcome to the show, Muriel.
Hello.
Muriel Teague, it's so great to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Real estate, that's your field, huh?
Yes, yes.
So, I know you got a lot of good things to tell us about real estate, but first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm from New York. I'm born in New York.
Ooh.
Yes. And when I born in New York, my dream was to move to Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I got to tell you this story, Ingrid. Right? Because, when I got my first home in New York, I hired a realtor. And I got me a nice little apartment in New York City.
In New York City.
So I thought I had this real estate thing figured out. So I said, I want to move to Atlanta. A lot of New Yorkers, a lot of them want to move to Atlanta.
Yes.
So I was one of those New
Yes.
Yorkers. So I decided to move to Atlanta. I actually found my first apartment on the most trusted classified site in the USA,
Yes.
Craigslist.
Ooh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't go there.
Yes, I did. And let me tell you, I said, I got me a place. I'm going to move to Atlanta, a nice house. So I moved there, and I didn't know the neighborhood. I lived there for a month, and let me tell you what happened. A month, I was living there. The police knocked at my door, and they said,
Jeez.
Muriel, are you Muriel Teague? I said, yeah. Well, ma'am, you need to come out here because somebody just shot up your car.
Okay.
And he asked me, do you have anybody that's looking for you? I'm like, I just moved here.
Right, no.
Yes. So I realized I moved to the hood. Okay. And because of that, I did not hire a realtor. I just went on my own and I said, I like this house. It's a good price. I'm going to, move here and live happily ever after. And it was an eye opener for me. It was a lesson for me.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So as time moved on, my life shifted and I decided to move to DC. And the place I chose was Virginia. For my family.
Yes.
Let me tell you, when my car got shot up, Ingrid, I'm telling you, people thought I was riding dirty. Have you ever drive around with bullets holes in your car?
And I'm hoping and praying never to.
Oh, it's so embarrassed. I was telling my kids, I'm like, hold your head up. I tell them, hold your head up. Just people like,
hold your head
people like, where's she coming from? She a gangster? I'm like,
It's good that we can laugh about it. We're loving that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But my point is the importance of having a realtor, the importance of doing your research. I did not do my research.
Wow.
I failed to do my research, and I moved any place in Atlanta, and I was so ignorant about my whereabouts.
Wow.
So like I said, when I moved to Virginia, the DC area, I said, okay, I got to do this right.
So you did the research.
I did my research, and we finally got our home, dream home in Virginia. I love it. No gunshots.
No gunshots.
No bullets.
Yay.
If so, I don't live near that area.
Wow.
Yes.
But what a lesson you learned firsthand about about real estate and about choosing a place to live.
Yes, and it's really and this. The reason why I'm telling you this because this is about me, and this is about what made me have this career. Changing, shifting. I want to help people because I don't want people to make the same mistake I did.
Okay.
All
right. Got it. Got it.
So I know I'm good at sales, and I know I could talk people to death. I know that.
That's a good thing.
And I love helping people. I love to entertain people. I love to entertain.
Ooh, beautiful.
I love to cook. I'm very domesticated. So I decided to become a realtor.
And you became a realtor.
Yes.
So when I introduced this segment, I said, you're going to talk about the 3 common myths.
The myths. Okay. And this is the 3 common myths. Let me just tell you about that. Okay. The first thing, a lot of sellers, they would say, oh, well, I'm not selling my home yet. I'm waiting for the market to go up. I'm like, we can't predict that.
Right.
When it comes to that. I mean, the market is good now.
The market is good now.
Sell your home while it's hot. That's the thing. Because I don't know if people remember 2008.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. So
It wasn't a good feeling.
It was not, and I was not relative then. But yeah. But a lot of people waiting for that magic moment where if their house is 350, they waiting for it to go up higher, and there's no guarantee.
Right.
Okay, another myth, and I call them FSBO. FSBO is for sales by owner. And a lot of these FSBOs, they would say, well, I'll sell my home myself and I could save money. I don't have to pay no commission. I'll keep on the money myself. Well, maybe that might work. And if so, great. But there's a lot of inexperienced owners for sale by owners. And there are sharks out there that are buyers that will take advantage of owner for sale by owner.
Wow.
And the thing about it is there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of negotiation skills that you need to have. There's contracts that you need to understand. And if you don't understand those,
Yes.
then you're going to get taken advantage of. And that's the good thing of having an agent. Because the agent is supposed to hold your hand, help you through the process, and make sure you get the most amount of money in a short amount of time.
So when I see these for sale by owners, I'm like, oh wow, I should check this out.
Well, majority of them in the long haul may end up calling a realtor because it's a tough business. It's not easy.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Yes. Same thing for buyers. Get an agent. I mean, some buyers just want to walk in and I want to buy this house. And if an owner have an agent, the buyer may end up paying more than what the house is worth. So it's always wise to have a realtor on your side.
Yeah, I think a realtor is important. Yeah,
it is. It is.
So, so you've been doing this, and you also blog about it.
Yeah, I'm a blogger.
I saw that. I love it. I love it. So, what are some of the things that you've been blogging about?
Well, again, the myth about what buyers and sellers do as a mistake. Also, I blog about information about how to save money for a home.
Yeah.
Well, what that part is, for you to save money, you got to have a plan. I would say set aside some money every month, and there are some apps that can help you. Yeah, there's some app you can download. Like there's one called Digit, and there's another one
so we
called
can research all of
Money
them.
Box. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just you can Google it and
Cool.
pop up and download, and and this will help you manage. There's other ways, but that's one of the tools that you can use. Also, you could take out money from your 401k. That's another way. There's also other, let's say you can't afford to put down 20% down.
Right.
Let's say you can, others can't.
Okay, exactly.
Then there's other programs. There's actually a VA loan for veterans.
Beautiful.
Right? There's also, actually, some of these programs, you could pay down at least 3 to 5% down some of these programs.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
But I'm not a lender, so talk to your local lender.
Okay. But exactly. So, and then I like the whole idea about in terms of decluttering and moving things. You wrote about something about that.
Oh, okay.
So, because you're trying to get your home. So if I'm at a point, if I'm a seller at this point, I hear a lot about staging and how to get your house.
Yes.
Is there any value in that?
Oh, yes. When it comes to staging, that helps. That actually.
Does the realtor do that?
I love to stage. I love to decorate.
Okay.
I mean, don't hire me.
Don't ask me to be doing any staging.
Let me tell you, hire me.
Like,
I'm the type of
she needs
person.
some help.
I would. I'm Mary Poppins. I'll be floating around.
Oh,
and
really? Really?
I love to decorate. That's my niche. That's my thing.
So you
know.
help stage and get it all together.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm not running around and you said, no, Ingrid, no, that don't work.
I'm like, I'm gonna tell you, I'm one of those people. Let's say you have like a picture, like a
family portrait,
and it's crooked. I'm talking to you. I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Now I'll get up and fix it, and that's just me.
You have the eye. You have that eye.
Yeah, and I just love to do
skill.
that, and like I said, I like to entertain, and my fiance, he said, "You're so cultured. You just like to decorate. We're opposite from each other." So
that's a good thing.
I just like to just put
beautiful.
things together, and that's why I became a realtor, because I just love to decorate people's home. When I'm sitting down, I get a feel of the environment, and I could tell the person, the mucky ducky.
Wow.
I call them mucky ducky. Mucky ducky is somebody that's they're not tidy.
Right.
Right.
Now I see that you also wrote a book. Tell us about this.
This book, due to experience, this is the best-selling option in a divorce, and this book is like a step-by-step.
Oh, wait a minute. Best-selling option in a divorce.
Yes.
Oh, well, keep it real.
Yeah, keeping it real.
Keep it real.
Keeping it real. And this will help you explain step-by-step the in and outs of what to do, how to sell your home while you're in a divorce.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. What inspired you to do this?
Experience. And also, for some reason, Ingrid, that's I draw my clientele, and I love it. It's a sad emotional situation. It is, but I like to keep the peace, and that's just me. You could climb my shoulders, okay?
And isn't that important, because to be able to have this as step one, step two,
Yes.
and then have a process.
Yes.
I've had friends. I think we all have friends, and I've had friends who have gone through a divorce, and it's a mess, and they're trying to, and everyone's mad and grabbing property and this and that.
It's drama.
It's a lot.
It's drama. It's like watching the house.
The housewives.
The housewives.